So this next video is about the overdrive on more specifically on the T96 Borg Warner T96 with the R10 or R11 overdrive. And there's a few things that come into play when the overdrive gets activated. So in my case, I was having some trouble with the overdrive. Turns out it was just a fuse, but the overdrive was not engaging, and the reason I could feel that it was not engaging is because I could not get the car over 90 kilometers an hour without over revving the engine. So I was a bit disappointed. I said, well, maybe it's just the way it is, because my Rambler does have a very, very high gear ratio on the differential. I can actually, with smaller tires, I can actually do burnouts with it. So I'm pretty sure it was the optional differential that came with the car. I know whoever had it, it also came with the extra leaf on the spring. So I don't know if those two came together, but the tires on my Rambler are very, very big, and compare that to another guy that has a 1965 Rambler American with the same engine, and his takeoff is 5 times slower than my Rambler, but he can cruise at 130 kilometers an hour without a problem, whereas I can't. His does, however, have the Flash-O-Matic transmission, which is, I think, the same as the Ford-O-Matic, just the automatic transmission, so it is a bit different. But he has, on his Rambler, little tiny 14-inch rims. And the reason I'm saying all this is because there are a few different things that come into play, like I said, when activating the solenoid itself. So basically, the main thing is the governor. So it's just a set of centrifugal weights, and they act as a switch to turn on the solenoid, right? So as soon as the transmission, and that's important, the transmission reaches a certain RPM, those weights fly off, and then that forces a set of contact points to close, and that connects the ground to the overdrive solenoid, right? And that turns it on, and then it gets its positive through a switch from the battery, so that you can turn it on or off if you want to. So it's got a switch on the ground as well, right? So and if you have a car that's all original, these things probably won't matter to you. But in my case, I got a Borg Warner T96 from another car, which I don't even know I don't know in hell which car it is. I think it's a Ford, because mine has the really long housing in the back, and the governor is yet from another car. So there's various different governors for different cars, and I guess the difference is in the weights, and some came with heavier weights, so that the overdrive would only engage in higher RPMs, or some came with lower weights, lighter weights. The car would engage in lower RPMs. So for me, these things are important because it's all about the RPMs. And the governor is geared into the transmission. So it's not dependent on the wheels, so to speak. So as soon as you hit that certain RPM number, and this is the thing, right? It's all about RPMs. I've heard people say that the overdrive will engage as soon as you hit 28 miles an hour. And I think I said that myself. previously. And that is generally, I guess, the case. But, if you have a different governor with a different car and different, other variables, then that may not be the case. And that is indeed not the case for me. So, in my case, I actually right now have two 1570 tires on 15-inch rims on that Rambler. Those tires are massive compared to the tires that were on the car when I bought it, which were, of course, the wrong tires. And the actual diameter of the tires, the diameter of the tires is actually 28 or 27 inches. Those are huge compared to the little, I think maybe 18-inch or 20-inch on the other Rambler. So basically what this does is it drastically reduces the RPMs on the engine on the same, on a given, for a given velocity. But it also, cuts out on your takeoff power. But in my case, it's even though I currently have Thunderbird rims and tires on that car, showing 28 inches in diameter, takeoff power is still pretty damn fast, right? So, but that's another thing that comes into play. With larger tires, I'm going to reduce the RPMs, which means that the overdrive will only kick in at higher speeds. So in my case, what I'm thinking is actually happening is it's only engaging after third gear. It's not engaging in second, because in second gear I still don't have enough RPMs. I can't really say for sure yet because I don't have a light installed, but I can definitely feel the difference in third gear when the OD engages, and then when it does, the engine is literally idling at, the car's going at over 100 kilometers an hour, about 105, 110, 100 kilometers an hour. Between 100 kilometers and 110 is very, very low RPMs on the engine, which is great. I really like that. The Rambler for me is not a takeoff power car. It's just a cruising car. That's my objective with it. So that's my reason for putting the larger diameter tires on it. And I just wanted to do an experiment, I won't lie to you. But since I'm talking about the OD, don't forget to check the fuse. Somebody, I guess, put a very, very small fuse on it, and the fuse on the relay got burnt, so the overdrive remained off. So just, I think you initially get 40 amps, or 30. I think it's pretty high. You have an initial burst of 30 amps to engage the solenoid, and then it's just to hold it, it drops down to like 5, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure you need like a 30 amp fuse. Don't take my word for it. You go and check it yourself. But I'm just saying that mine was burnt, so that's why the overdrive wasn't working. So it's something to watch out for. So just to recap, the overdrive engages is all to do with RPMs. The governor, the RPMs move the governor, which is the set of weights. Depending on what those weights are, more weight, the car will have to spin more in order to throw them out. So, depending on which governor you have, things will be different. So those are basically the two main things that affect the overdrive solenoid engagement: is the tires, what size, what diameter wheels you're using, tires, and the actual governor itself, which weights are on it. So I'm thinking, my reasoning is that bigger engines, like big V8s, they can reach higher speeds with lower RPMs. So I think that my guess is that those cars, like big Ford Galaxies, I don't know which other cars came with the cars with bigger engines, their governors will engage only at they will engage at lower RPMs, is my guess, right? And cars with smaller engines will have governors with heavier weights that they'll engage at higher RPMs. But again, I'm not completely sure about this. But I literally just went on eBay and I bought a random governor that would fit the transmission. I'm not sure about the mounting, if the threads are the same. I know they were the same on all three, on both the overdrive and the T96 that I got. But again, I can't be certain of all that, but I can be certain that it does depend on the RPMs. So once again, just RPMs. It's all about the RPMs. If you're having trouble with your overdrive, check the fuses, wiring. You can test the solenoid itself, and it's very interesting. I can feel when I'm driving on the highway, freeway, or whatever you want to call it. As soon as I start really revving the engine, and I let go, I can literally feel the solenoid engaging. I can feel like it changed the gear. I can feel it changing the gear for me, which is pretty interesting. Then after that, it's just holding my foot on the accelerator. It's just idling at 100 kilometers an hour, which is pretty interesting. Lots of people don't know about that. Right, so I guess that's it. I tend to talk too much. Sorry about that, guys, but